Assassination. The murder of a famous person. President Kennedy's assassination had far-reaching repercussions. Abduction. To take someone away by force. Armed robbery and abduction have been on the rise countrywide. Arson. Deliberately setting fire to something. A cinema was burnt out in North London last night. Police suspect arson. Assault. A violent physical or verbal attack. She was acquitted on charges of assault with a deadly weapon. Bigamy. Marrying two people at the same time. Bigamy is the only crime where two rights make a wrong. Blackmail. Make someone give you money using threats. The journalist used blackmail to make the lawyer give him the documents. Bombing. An attack by dropping bombs. There was widespread international condemnation of the bombing. Blue-collar crimes. Crimes committed by an individual from a lower class. White-collar crime is just as reprehensible as blue-collar crime and must be punished accordingly. Bribery. The act or practice of giving or taking a bribe. The charge in the present case is one of bribery and corruption. Burglary. Illegally access a building and steal things. To minimize the risk of burglary, install a good alarm system. Child abuse. Maltreatment of a child. Cases of child abuse often go unreported or ignored by uninformed citizens. Corruption. Misusing public power for personal gain. The investigation uncovered widespread corruption within the police force. Cyberbullying. Act of harassing someone online. Cyberbullying has ultimately led to depression, anxiety, and in severe cases suicide. Cheating. Act dishonestly to gain an advantage. Several students were expelled for cheating in examinations. Conspiracy. Secret plan to do something unlawful. He was charged with conspiracy to commit criminal damage. Coercion. To persuade someone forcefully. They cast their votes freely and without coercion on election day. Cybercrime. Illegal activity that is done using the internet. Cybercrime is a growing problem in the computer age. Domestic violence. Aggressive behavior within the home. Women are still the main victims of domestic violence. Data breaches. Information is taken unlawfully. Some major companies have been hacked and have had data breaches. Drug trafficking. The crime of trading in banned drugs. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison on charges of drug trafficking. Drunk driving. Act of driving under the influence of alcohol. The new law on drunk driving is being seen as a major step forward. Embezzlement. Misappropriation of funds placed in one's trust. We have never had a problem with embezzlement at this bank. Extortion. To obtain by force or threat. He was found guilty of obtaining the money by extortion. Espionage. Secretly collecting political information. 2 members of the embassy staff had been expelled for espionage. Forgery. An illegal copy of a document or painting. Experts are dismissing claims that the painting is a forgery. Felony. A serious crime such as armed robbery. Mike is preparing his defense against felony charges of armed robbery and assault. Fraud. Gaining financial benefits by a trick. The new system will safeguard the company against fraud. Gambling. The practice or activity of betting. Gambling became an obsession, and she eventually lost everything. Genocide. The intentional killing of a people. They were charged with genocide and crimes against humanity. Hijacking. Illegally take control of a vehicle. There have been a series of hijackings recently in the capital city. Harassment. Aggressive pressure or intimidation. The girl had been subjected to continual sexual harassment. Hate crimes. Crime is done by someone who hates a group. Hate crimes will not be tolerated and will not go unpunished. Hit and run. Involving the driver not stopping after the accident. The pickup driver pleaded guilty to hit and run and manslaughter. Homicide. The killing of one person by another. In 7 years, homicide rates tripled and suicide rates quadrupled. Hooliganism. Rowdy behavior by young troublemakers. The propensity to hooliganism is inherent in every society. Kidnapping. Carrying away a person by force. 2 youngsters have been arrested and charged with kidnapping. Libel. False statement for damaging a person's reputation. Canadian libel law was based on English common law. Looting. Stealing from shops during a violent event. The crowds crossed the country, plundering and looting as they went. Manslaughter. Killing someone without planning it. They were charged with murder and manslaughter respectively. Misdemeanor. A crime less serious than a felony. What may be a misdemeanor in one state could be a felony in another. Mugging. Act of robbery with violence. It is very dangerous to get football hooliganism mixed up with mugging. Money laundering. Process of concealing the origin of money. Some transactions have reportedly involved money laundering. Mutilation. Damaging something severely. Many suffered injuries, including mutilation, after the intensive bombing. Murder. A person who commits murder. The police questioned several eyewitnesses to the murder of a young girl. Perjury. An intentional act of swearing a false oath. This witness has committed perjury and no reliance can be placed on her evidence. Polygamy. The practice of marrying multiple spouses. Abuse and coercion are only the most obvious dangers of polygamy. Pickpocketing. Stealing from the pocket of a passerby. Pickpocketing has been rampant in the downtown area in recent years. Pilfering. Steal things of small value. The farmer caught the children pilfering apples from his orchard. Prostitution. Having sex with people for money. Most prostitutes are women, and most of their clients are men. Piracy. Attacking and robbing ships at sea. The government has already adopted effective measures against piracy. Poaching. The killing of animals without permission. They had taken to poaching as a means of supporting fresh meat for the table. Rape. Unlawful sexual activity. It is an unpleasant fact that rape makes a good news story. Racketeering. Making money through dishonest activities. One of the government's liaisons with racketeering is partially documented. Road rage. Angry behavior exhibited by motorists. The governor's immigration policy causes road rage in New York. Riot. Noisy and violent public gathering. When a riot broke out, the police were obliged to intervene. Robbery. Crime of stealing money or property. Armed robbery and abduction have been on the increase countrywide. Shoplifting. To steal displayed goods from a store. The grocer accused him of shoplifting and demanded to look in his bag. Slander. A malicious statement harming one's reputation. They were found guilty of slander against his employers. Sabotage. Destroying or damaging something deliberately. The terrorists were planning acts of sabotage to destabilize the nation. Stalking. Pursue or approach stealthily. The police had been stalking the woman for a week before they arrested her. Smuggling. Illegal transportation of objects and substances. These islands have a history of shipwrecks and smuggling. Speeding. Offense of driving a vehicle too fast. The driver had been stopped 3 times for speeding on the same day. Terrorism. Threat of violence. The fight against terrorism seemed to unite the country. Theft. The act of stealing. This policy offers complete protection against fire and theft. Trafficking. Buying or selling usually illegal goods. The government's efforts to limit drug trafficking have mostly failed. Torture. An act of deliberately hurting someone. The criminal was subjected to torture and lengthy interrogations. White-collar crimes. Crimes that relate to money. The banker was arrested for stealing from his company and was charged with white-collar crimes. Treason. The action of betraying someone or something. The defendant was convicted of high treason and sentenced to death. Trespassing. Enter someone's property without permission. He was arrested for trespassing on government property. Treachery. Behavior in which someone is not loyal. Selling military secrets is an unforgivable act of treachery. Vandalism. Intentionally damaging property. We need to consider the problem of vandalism within a wider context. Usury. Lending money at high interest rates. The Church condemns usury and the loaning of money at high interest.